So today's date is Saturday, January 11th, and I thought I should do this because this is going to be a very important part of my life. And it's something I've always been like super ashamed of, but it's something that I'm starting to become more open with because the reality of it's hitting me. And it is the fact that I don't have good teeth. um, my teeth have always been a staple for me. Like, it's been one of those things that I don't smile very often. Like, if you go through, like, pictures that I post, like, it's like I might smile, but my teeth are never showing. And it's because that they've always, ever since I was very young, like, probably too young to even worry about my teeth, I did. And it's because I grew up and I had went to the dentist when I was young, and I had a bad experience with a dentist, and he was just super rough. Like, basically, even though I was young and didn't really have horrible teeth at the time, he was just like, well, you gotta take care of your teeth or they're gonna fall out. And it's like, he was an asshole. um but it's the realization is hitting me that I need my teeth pulled out, and I need all of my top teeth pulled out and then most of my bottom teeth. And the only teeth that I'll be keeping are these bottom front ones. And it's because they're the only good ones. So I went to a consultation meeting back in September of 2019, and it was the third dentist that I had visited. Like, I was trying to find a dentist who I was comfortable with and someone who would work with me well, who wasn't going to make me, it wasn't going to demoralize me about the way that my teeth were. And I've had dentists do that, like, oh, like, this is what you get. Like, it's just something I never wanted to deal with. Like, every time I go into a new dentist, I'm always like, I know how bad my teeth are. I don't want to hear how bad they are. I know why they're bad. I just want to know what I can do. So, last Thursday, I had finally had the time, and the new year, I had gotten, like, PTO hours, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to them about a payment plan and, like, get this shit on the go. So I went to my dentist, and I sat down with the woman who was going to help me, like, with the financial stuff, and I go in for my impressions on next Thursday, and it's currently Saturday. So it's like I'm nervous and I'm kind of scared, but in the end, I know it's going to be better for me. So I just thought I would document this, and I might make it into a video. I might post it on my dead YouTube channel, because it's something that is going to be a big part of my life, and it's going to change a lot. And just a quick history, just so the explanation of why my teeth are so bad, and I'll get into that. So my thing is, I never had a problem with yellow teeth. My teeth were always decently white, like, I had brushed them, and this is starting out, I'm gonna do a timeline. So when I was about 10 or 11, I had had all my adult teeth already. I lost all of my baby teeth at an early age. I was probably like 7 or 8 when I had lost all my baby teeth. And it was something that when they grew in, like, I knew I was young still, but I was like, they're crooked. Like, there's, like, I don't see them coming together. Like, some of them are twisted, some of them are overlapping. Like, my bottom teeth are a wreck. But I was told by a dentist at the age of probably 12 that I would need braces, because my teeth, the way that the roots are like aligned in my jaw, they weren't going to line up how they were supposed to. And coming from a family who didn't have a lot of money, like, we weren't dirt poor most of the time, but we didn't have the money for braces. Like, I don't know if it's changed now. I'm pretty sure, like, you can get braces with insurance and stuff, but at the time, that was not a thing. Like, you paid out of pocket for braces because it wasn't a necessity. So the dentist had told my parents she needs braces. and it was just something that we couldn't afford. My dad always tried to tell me that you don't need braces, like they'll straighten out, like look at my teeth, you have teeth like mine, like I look just like my dad. Bad teeth do run in my family, and my dad was just like, oh, they'll straighten out when you get older, like your teeth are gonna be like mine. Like my dad has straight teeth, and he was just like pushing it into me. He's like, you don't need braces, you'll be fine, whatever. So I tried to keep that in my head, like, oh, okay, when I get older they'll straighten out. They didn't straighten out, and I'm about 14 or 15 at this time, and I know I need braces. I started when I was about 15. My front teeth, the one over to my right of my mouth, directly next to my front teeth, started to die away, and there wasn't a cause for it. I was brushing my teeth how I should have been at this time, and it started to die, and it started to get darker and like discolored, and it wasn't bad like black, but it was just not the color it was supposed to be. I would have people like question me about it. Like I felt uncomfortable about it, so I would like, cause I was a rowdy kid. I had gotten in fights, and I tried to play it off like, oh, I got hit in the face, like, cause I had been hit in the face before. I had been in fights before, and I was just like, oh, I was hit in the face, and it like kind of just knocked my tooth in, and it just kind of made it die away because it kind of disconnected a little bit, and it was just like, it was something I told myself and to others so I wouldn't feel as bad about having bad teeth. And so about the age of 17 rolls around, I'm in the midst of high school, and this was around the time I started, becoming a little bit more popular on Facebook. Like I would have just these random friend requests all the time. I maxed out my 5,000 friends. I had a following of people who thought I was like plainly pretty. Like I didn't have to have piercings. Like I didn't have piercings at this time. I didn't have like big stretched ears. I was pretty plain, and I wasn't like an internet hoe. Like I wasn't trying to like show skin or anything. Like I wasn't trying to be a hoe, but I was trying to be better about myself. So I was reaching validation in people, and the internet is a brutal place. Like it is 100% a brutal place, because where there are good comments, there are also bad comments. And I had this group of people who would keep harassing me, and they would keep making fun of my acne, and it's like, oh, do you shower, do you wash your face, like all this stuff, and it's like, I do. I can't control the acne that I have, it's puberty, it's growing up, it's a part of growing up. And I would have people say things like, oh, her teeth are going in so many different directions, it looks like they're throwing up gang signs, I'm offended. And it's like I tried not to let it bother me, because I already bothered myself enough about my teeth. But it did bother me, and it was to the point where I was just getting so upset with it. Like I was drinking a lot of Mountain Dew, like that was what got me through high school. I would buy like those 1.5 liters of Mountain Dew, and sometimes I would drink like 2 of them a day. And this was around the time I was starting to get really depressed about my teeth. I had stopped brushing them for a while, and they were just starting to die. Like I could feel my back teeth just breaking away. And because of that, it started getting hard for me to eat. My mom was just like, you need to go to the dentist. So rewind a little bit to 13 years old, which was the next time I went to the dentist. It was a different dentist, because my parents understood that the dentist that we had before was kind of a prick. And I had went in, my sister had gotten her cavities filled, all that stuff. My brother had gotten his filled and stuff, and it was my turn to go back, and I sat down in the chair, and I just started sobbing, because I was afraid. And I was just like, I was afraid of needles, like I didn't want to be numbed. I was just like, can you like not numb me? And he's like, that's not a good idea, like you should probably be numbed. So he was trying to like calm me down, like trying to assure me that it wasn't going to hurt. Like I was just like, I'm afraid it's gonna hurt, like. So he took me back into the room where my brother was getting his teeth done, to just show me that my brother wasn't in pain or anything. But as soon as I seen the numbing needle hit my brother's mouth, it freaked me out. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not going through with this. I can't. And he took me back into the little office area where I was supposed to be getting my teeth done. And he was trying to talk me down. And he was just like, please, just, just let us do something. And I was like, I'm afraid, but I know if my mom knows that I'm not back here getting my teeth done, I'm going to get in trouble. And he was just like, no, we'll just call your mom back here. And I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, as soon as I get in that car and as soon as I head home, I'm going to never hear the end of it. But long story short, I ended up not getting my teeth done. My mom was very upset with me. Basically, probably saying things to me she shouldn't have. She's like, oh, your teeth are going to fall out. Like, don't be a baby. And it's just like, I can't help these fears that I have, especially being at the time 13. So I was probably even 12. Like, I probably wasn't even 13 yet. But years went on and I had never went back to the dentist. And I hit the age of 18 and I was going through a lot of weird things in my life. I was dating somebody who wasn't the best for me, but I was fresh into dating. Like, I didn't date very much growing up. He was probably like my third boyfriend in my entire life. And we had connected and he started to make me feel a little bit better about myself. Like, he didn't care how bad my teeth were. Like, he was good to me, but he wasn't what I needed. And it ended up rolling over into Christmas. I ended up finding out that he had cheated on me. He had moved another girl into his house, had relapsed on heroin and didn't say anything to me. I wasn't doing drugs at this time. I wasn't even smoking pot at this time. I never touched any drugs. There had been times when I was younger where I had like taken some of my brother's Ritalin, and it was just something I experimented with, but I didn't think that it was going to be anything, so I don't really count that. But a few days after this whole breakup went through, I started smoking pot, which I'm not going to blame on anything because it never really hurt me or anything. It's not like I'm like, oh, don't smoke pot. Like, I smoke pot. I still currently smoke pot. I'm not currently smoking. I haven't smoked in a while. But the thing is, that's what kind of started my downward spiral, but made my depression worse, because I started talking to another guy who I was friends with, and I ended up getting feelings for this person, and lo and behold, he ended up being another recovering addict. And he had hid this from me for a while, and by the time he had told me, the feelings were there. It was kind of too late. He should have told me to begin with, but it was kind of too late. I was like, well, here I have all these feelings, and now you're dropping this bomb on me that you're a recovering addict. So at this time, I was fluently smoking pot. I wasn't smoking every day, but I was smoking, close to the weekends. Like, sometimes I would smoke during the week. Like, it was something that I would do occasionally, and it wasn't hurting me. But it was to the point where I was starting to get really, really upset with myself and depressed. And by the time I had graduated, this was my senior year of high school when all of this is happening. By the time I had graduated, I had started dabbling with drugs a little bit more than I should have. I had basically started using heroin because my boyfriend was using heroin at the time. I had done quite a bit of crack. I was doing Suboxones, like Subutex. I was just using drugs because it made me feel better at the time. And I've never really openly discussed this with a lot of people. Like, my family and my friends who are close to me know a little bit about the whole story about why I started doing these things. And ever since I was about 18 years old, it just kind of went down. And my boyfriend ended up kind of dumping me off at my parents' house. Like, I was supposed to just be going home to visit, and because I hadn't seen my family in probably 2 or 3 months, and I was living in a not good place. Like, I was hiding his addiction from his parents while I was in the midst of, like, going through my own addiction, and it was just, like, I felt bad about it, and I wasn't feeling good about myself. And when he had dumped me off at my house, that was what kind of started my, like, fear of abandonment. Like, I was afraid that everybody that would come into my life would leave or, you know, dump me off, which is basically what my boyfriend did. And I was in the midst of a full-blown drug addiction. Like, it wasn't just heroin. I was using pills. I was on cocaine binges. I was doing a lot of cocaine. And all while trying to hide this from my family. Like, my family, I had opened up to them about the heroin, and I was like, I've been using heroin. I'm okay now. Like, I haven't touched it since, but I'm not going to say I didn't try to get some. And I'm glad that nothing ever went through, because I probably wouldn't be here today. But the reason why I'm going into this is because during all of this midst of drug addiction, I had sincerely just started to let my teeth go. And I wasn't brushing them as much as I should have been, and adding all of the drugs that I was using on top of that definitely sped up the process of my teeth just falling apart. And so it's about 2016 at this point. I'm on pills really bad. I'm off the heroin, but I'm doing pills. I'm basically doing anything I can get my hands on. I'm smoking on a daily. I didn't have money, but I found weed one way or another. Whether I was trading, like, my things, I had done some sketchy things to get weed, you know, and it's like, that's the point where it's not good for me. And I went through a phase for about maybe 5 months where if I would find one way or another to get weed. I had tried to cut off the pills, so I had started selling pills that I could find. Like, I had stole pills from my grandmother. I was not doing good things. Like, it's a part of my life that I'm really not proud of, and it makes people who come into my life that I open up to it about not trust me. And that goes hand in hand with my current boyfriend right now. Like, he's tried to be understanding and stuff, but I can see where his distrust comes from. And he has started to trust me more about it, but it sucks because there are other things that I have lied about on top of it. Like, not even like detrimental, like life or death things, just things that I shouldn't lie about. Like finances, like just stupid things that I am in habits of doing. And because of all of that, I had started to get pains up here in my mouth, like on my upper side of my mouth. And I was dealing with like bad toothaches, like where I was like incapacitated, like I had to be in bed. I couldn't move, like it was causing headaches, like the pain was so intense. And before 2016 even hit, near the end of 2015, I ended up having an issue in my mouth, which is the first time that I've ever like had to go to the dentist. And this is the first time I've been to the dentist since I was 12, and they tried to do stuff with my teeth and I was afraid. So I'm 19 at this point. I haven't been to the dentist since I was 12. And my grandma was like, you need to go to the dentist. Like, my face was swelling up. Like, it was an abscess in my mouth that was making my face swell up. And it was visibly swelled. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, it's a little puffy. Like, it was out to here. Excruciating pain. Like, I couldn't do anything. My grandma had to give me her pain pills so I would, like, stop feeling the pain. And I had went in, and her dentist was just like, if that gets any worse, you need to go to the ER, because that's on the line of being fatal. And so he gave me an antibiotic. He said, come back in about 3 or 4 days when the antibiotics have like ran its way through your system, and we will pull it out. And that, as soon as I heard that, I was horrified. So a few days pass, and I go in. I'm like, I know it needs to be done, so I'm just like kind of sucking it up. And I get the tooth pulled out. And this dentist, like, he was never going to be my regular dentist. It was just an emergency situation. My grandma ended up paying for it for me. I had to have the tooth cut out, pulled, and it was a rough experience because I didn't heal very well. Like, it healed and it was fine, but I know a lot of people who can, like, go get their wisdom teeth pulled out and, like, the next day they're fine. Like, I was probably down and out for about 3 days just with the one tooth that I had pulled. I had taken maybe 2 of the pain pills for the pain, and then I sold them all because I didn't want to have to rely on the pain pills. Like, I didn't want to have to feel like I needed to do them, so I got rid of them. And selling them's not the option, but that's just what I did at the time. After this point, he had told me that there was other problems in my mouth that I needed to get taken care of, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. I didn't care, and I figured since I was already a full-blown drug addict, that they would all just fall out eventually. Like, I didn't care. So, fast forward to about a year later, it's probably 2017, I'm 20 years old, and I started dating this new guy who was not a good match for me. It was a comfortability thing. I was lonely. I wasn't even, like, trying to have a big sexual relationship. I didn't care. It was just stability, and I was having a rough time at home, so I wanted an escape. And he was that escape for me, and that was one thing I will always be grateful to him for, because as much as our relationship wasn't right, we dated for almost 2 years, and it was a roller coaster. I had hid a lot of my drug addiction from him. I was doing drugs and hiding it from him. I wasn't telling him. I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And it was mainly, my main problem with the relationship that I had with him was I was doing drugs that he'd never even known that I was doing. And by the time 2017 rolled around, I had started using meth, and it was just accessible to me. And it was something that I was always tired. Like, I wasn't sleeping anyway. I've had bad insomnia since I was about 12, and it didn't help, but I started doing a lot of meth. My brother was also doing a lot of meth, and it didn't mix well. But that 2017, when I started doing that, was really when my teeth started to go on a steep path down. And then my back teeth started to break away to where there's nothing back there. Like, I would have to alternate sides on chewing because like my right side would get bad, and then my left side would be my good side, and then my left side would get bad, so I'd switch back to my right side. And my grandma ended up passing away, and it hit me really hard to the point where it was about November of 2017, and I was so bad on drugs. I was so depressed. My boyfriend ended up, like, breaking it off with me the day before my grandma died, and I just didn't care. Like, I was like, I don't care, bye, see ya. I never really had strong feelings for you anyway. And that's the thing about being a drug addict, is you learn to put on this face and you learn to be a good liar. And that was something that I had in my brain. It was a habit that I had encoded in my brain, basically, because I had been doing it for years. And because of all this crap that was going on, it was the beginning of November, and as soon as she was gone, I knew I wasn't going to make it past the year. And I was okay with that. Like, I was like, I'm probably not going to make it past this year. I am 100% certain that I'm going to be dead before 2018 hits. And something miraculous happened. I had this friend, and he was super friendly with me, and when me and my boyfriend had broken up the first time, I had met him, and it wasn't anything like sexual. There wasn't a relationship or anything, but he was a really good friend for me. And even though I had had faults about myself, he still had a great time hanging out with me. He took me to Jungle Gyms, bought me a candy bar, bought me a soda. Like, I just tried to take me out to have a good time. We had went and sat in a park and talked for a while. Like, it was just a really nice time. And this was a Saturday, and he's like, well, I'm going to Kings Island tomorrow. Do you want to go? And I was like, I don't have the money for a ticket for Kings Island. He's like, no, it's fine. I got it. So he came and picked me up the next day, and we spent the entire day at Kings Island. And it was one of the funnest days to date that I've had in a very long time. And, but that was before my grandma had passed and everything. But after my grandma had died, the day of her funeral, he was talking to me, and he knew that I was very upset about my grandma passing, and he was just like, well, I can come pick you up, and you can come stay with me for a day or two, just like as long as you would like I have a few days off work, and you can just get away from everything. And I was like, okay. So he came and picked me up, and we went back to his apartment, and like I didn't have a phone at the time. Like I didn't have any way to contact anybody, so he had like loaned me an old phone of his that I could like use to connect to Wi-Fi and stuff, just so I had something to get a hold of like my parents if they needed me, or just whoever. And at this point I had ceased drug movement. Like I wasn't using anything, like I wasn't even smoking pot at this time, and I was withdrawing really bad. And he was there for me. And it got to the day after Thanksgiving, maybe 2 days after Thanksgiving, my dad calls me and he's like, we need you at home. We need you here. And I'm like, okay, why? And he's just like, well, we just need you here. Like, can you come back today? And I didn't want to leave. Like, I was happy to be away from everything. And I told my friend, I was like, I need to go back home. Like, my parents say they need me, which I knew for a fact they didn't. They just wanted me there. And he was like, okay. So he drove me home Saturday night. And as soon as I get in the door, the drama starts. And I'm getting accused of doing things that I didn't do. I'm getting accused of stealing things from my grandmother, my dead grandmother, which I didn't do. Like, he's saying I have her bank card. He's saying that I, like, took her safe. Like, he's saying that I have these things of hers that I don't have. And that was my breaking point. I was like, I can't do this. Telling my mom, I'm like, I'm going. I need to get this phone. I'll be back tomorrow. And she is just like, no, you're not going anywhere. And that was where I was like, I'm 21. You don't need me here. You just want me here. And I can't be here. And it got a little bit confrontational. Everybody was just not in their right minds. My brother wasn't in his right mind. Like, my mom and dad were both kind of just not in their right minds. And my mom told me if I left, not to come back. So I looked her in the face and I'm like, bye. So I packed up a few clothes. I didn't pack up nearly enough as I should have. I packed up a bag and I left. And that person who was that friend is now my boyfriend. And ever since then, he has been there for me when nobody has. And it was just, this all goes into play with my teeth, because I knew way before then that I needed to do something about them. So he's just like, you can stay with me, like I can help you find a job, all of this stuff. So fast forward a little bit, and that was just how my teeth had gotten to where they had gotten, is because I let them go. It was my own fault. I chose not to do anything about it. I chose not to go see anybody. I chose to keep letting them go until he helped me realize that I would feel so much better about myself if I did go get this done. And the reason why I'm even telling this entirely too long story is because I wouldn't be where I am today without him. And I made a lot of stupid mistakes with him. I've said a lot of things that I shouldn't have said to him. I've done a lot of things I shouldn't have done. I've been stupid with money choices. And he's gotten upset with me, and he's given me chance after chance when he shouldn't have. And it's just, I'm very thankful. And so when I went in September of 2018 to actually go try and find a dentist who would work the best with me on my teeth, the first dentist gave me a bad impression because she was like almost 2 hours late. Like, they were trying to rush me into signing stuff so I could like get my impressions done, and I almost did it just because I was so dead set on getting my teeth fixed. I didn't care. And my boyfriend was just like, you need to like not jump into anything. Like, you can't just jump into something or like do something because you're scared. And I kind of put the brakes on it a little bit, and I was like, you're right, like I can't just rush into this. And so a few months had passed, and I went and seen another dentist just to like get a different pricing, like explore different dentists who I felt like would be good for me. And the second dentist that I visited wasn't a good fit for me. Like, super like professional, but too professional to the point to where it made me uncomfortable. Like, they weren't trying to make me feel better. They were just like, oh, it's gonna cost this much and this is what you need done. Like, I suggest this is what you do. And it's just like, you're not giving me a good impression. So probably another month goes by, and it's September, and I go into this other dentist that I've heard good things about. My boyfriend had helped me like figure out like, this is where you should go. I think this is a good place for you to start. I had already put money forward for like a dental membership, like on top of my insurance at work. And this dental membership that I got, I paid $130 for the entire year. So it would help me get up to 60% off of any kind of dental stuff that I needed done. And so I went in, and as soon as I seen how down to earth the dentist was, he was super nice. He did his best to make me feel at home. Like, he really wanted me to feel comfortable, because I had told him how, like, what I needed done. Like, both dentists had said it's probably best that I get my teeth pulled out on the top and then get all of my bottom teeth except for these fronts, so I can have a partial, because a bottom denture is like uncomfortable or like awkward, and there's not enough suction on the bottom as there is on the top. And so I was like, all right. So I had 100% decided that this was what I was going to do. And I could have went for a more pricey option where they could have tried to restore my teeth, but in the long run it would have been more money and just not worth the money of the upkeep. And I didn't trust myself 100% to keep up with it. And it's not that I couldn't have, because I could have, as long as I like really set my foot down with it, but I didn't trust myself enough. So I went with the more permanent option and said, just pull them out. And it's something that, even thinking about it now, scares me. But I know it needs to be done, and I'm gonna feel better, and it's gonna help me learn more about the responsibilities that I need to take as an adult, about the stupid money decisions that I've been making. And like, I might not be on drugs anymore. I might not be spending money on like weed. I might not be doing all these stupid things, but I still have that mentality of, I have money and I'm gonna spend it, and I can't be like that. So like, it's a starting process, and I have started this whole line. I've signed the papers and everything. Like, I have my appointment set up for my impressions, and as soon as I go in for my impressions on Thursday, the 16th of January, I can set a date to have my teeth pulled out. And this video is long and lengthy, and I'll do my best to shorten it because I do want to make a compilation video of just my journey of fixing my teeth. Like, I'm not comfortable enough to, like, show people my teeth, but it's like, they're not yellow, they're not, like, gross, they're just dying. Like, I never had this gap that's a chip. This one is the one I was talking about. It's just kind of dead. It's chipped. There's nothing in the back, just because they're so destroyed. And then this is the one I have pulled. It's just, it's a very emotional thing for me. And it's like taking everything in me not to bust down and cry about it. But another thing that stops me is because I know it's going to be better for me. And I'll feel better, and I'll accept myself better. And it's like, it might just be a temporary feel better thing, but it's something that I need to do to help me look at myself in a better light. And that's something I've always done, is just, I'm my own worst enemy. Everybody is their own worst enemy. But especially myself, because I skate this plane of, at this point in my life, I skate a plane of, I hate myself, and I'm dirt, but everybody else is dirt, and I don't want to feel like that. And I feel like I can start looking at things in a better light once I start looking at myself in a better light. And that's what my boyfriend told me. You know, I'm very thankful for. But that's where I'm going to cut it off today. And I will keep documenting this because I feel like this is something I need to do. And it's going to be a lengthy process, and it's going to suck, but it's going to make me feel better in so many ways, despite the suckiness of having it all done and just like how afraid I am to just not have teeth anymore. But there is nowhere to go but up from here, for me especially. And I'm trying to get my finances taken care of. I'm trying to get my credit card debt and my medical bill debt and all of this stuff that I should have had taken care of a long time ago. But it's good to start somewhere.